Hi Angela. All right, so here is your past life spread. So what we're going to do is look at where you are, what you did with the majority of your time, an important day with the relationship and feelings involved, another important day with relationships and feelings, the death and lesson learned, and we'll get hints of time throughout. All right, so there were a few things coming through while I was shuffling, but I want to not mention them yet because I want to see what we're actually getting into here. So, okay, so first of all, we're looking at a female aspect that has masculine features, so that we're looking at someone who is, what do you call it, ambiguous looking, in a sense where if people were to see this person, this aspect of you, it would be like a double take in figuring out whether it's a female or male. Now, this person is not unattractive, it's just that the features are almost like they, what's it called? They shift in a way where if you look at this person's face, even the build, everything, it's like, oh, is that a female or is that a male? I can see the female, I can see the male. So this is talking about encompassing the energies of a female and male. So we're looking at the feminine and divine masculine energies in this aspect. So how this can be connecting with you, for example, could be where that is what you might be playing with in this life or at this time. Could be even coming up kind of thing. So remember that whatever comes through here has to resonate with you. So take everything with a grain of salt, see what resonates with you. But we're looking at something about playing with, not just playing with, accepting masculine energy and feminine energy, and also playing with it in the sense of redefining what that means to you. There's something about getting a grip on this because this aspect used it. It feels like they utilized it to their advantage, like they were aware of it as a gift, if that makes sense. So just keep in mind, we're going to be making connections in certain ways. It could be a direct connection, like what's coming through here immediately connects to what's going on with you, or opposite connection would be if something is happening here, you're experiencing the opposite of it because your soul already experienced it here, okay? So we'll see what happens as we come through, and I'll walk you through it. But for now, that is the first thing that is coming through, and that's something that's actually happening right now, or a lot of people are tapping into their feminine or masculine energies, but this one is talking about a balance. So it's almost like a message for you that if there's a part of you that you are pushing away or in denial of or don't want to accept or maybe don't like right now, there's always layers. So make sure you're going behind the resistance. So any resistance you may be feeling, and resistance can come up in ways of self-hate, self-doubt, bad self-talk, finding the parts of yourself, whether it's your physical traits or your inner landscape, and the parts of you that you haven't made friends with yet. It means you aren't understanding those certain parts and the probably very helpful purpose of why they're there. So if there's anything about you where if you're looking for more self-acceptance and to have a more positive outlook of your own persona or your own aspect of who you are, you need to approach those areas of resistance that you have about yourself or that you've up till now maybe not liked or seen as flaws, and you need to really embrace them and dig into them and see why they make you feel a certain way, and does that reason really, is that even a real reason, or is it an illusion, right? Because we're taught, especially women, we're taught to not like certain parts of ourselves because it's not pretty, you know what I mean? In certain ways. So just make sure that you are embracing all of yourself at this time, because I feel like this is linking into what was coming through when I was shuffling, because there's something about a mystery of there's this very interesting mysterious aspect of your soul where what came through was a connection to another realm. And just bear with me because some interesting stuff comes through that I don't even understand completely, but I'm just relaying to you what came through. And it feels like there is another realm that your soul is a part of and trying to access. Almost like how you would think people, if you've ever heard those stories of people wandering the hillside of England and they wander into a fairy realm, okay? Those stories. Well, there's something about your soul that I feel is there's an aspect that wants to connect with a realm long forgotten, or it's been a long time since you've connected, almost like it would be a sense of longing or yearning for a home or something like that within you. So if that's what it feels like, that's what we're talking about here. And what I'm trying to link here is that as soon as you look at these parts of you that you are in denial of or aren't embracing with love or acceptance, when you approach them and go and move through that resistance, which might not feel super great at first, but in the end it's going to feel good. But when you approach those parts and you accept them and you embrace yourself more fully, that access to that realm is going to be, it's going to be unlocked, in the sense where you may find yourself dreaming of accessing places that feel very vivid and real and more than just a dream. Or even in your waking life, it's almost going to be like you'll be able to more deeply move into a meditative state that allows you to see beyond the veil in that way, if that makes sense. So keep that in mind, and keep making connections. Okay, so the thing is though, where we are here is Africa. So this aspect in particular that we're looking at is, we're looking at a black woman or an African woman, and we're looking at someone who it feels like there's something like maybe 2 generations ago, if she was alive, she would be living in a tribal setting with her ancestors, but it's like the cusp of the generation that she's in now. There's where she goes into market, she goes into more civilized places, into the city, and it feels like there is this immersion of this person, this aspect of you, where there's it's an immersion into the next phase, the next generation, the next moving up, progressing. So to me, that feels like it may connect with you currently, in that you feel like you are in a transitionary period and you're on the cusp of something, of letting go of things from your past. And this would be a message for you to just let go of things from your past. There might be people or circumstances where you find that you might not want to hold on to it, but you find that you just can't help but hold on to it. And that's the kind of thing where, again, you need to approach it and dig into it, not dwell there, but try to see what it is that is keeping it kind of like lodged in your thought patterning, and try to let it go however you can. But the best way to do that is forgiving yourself for your role, I guess, in, let's say, a relationship or a circumstance, but also forgiving the circumstance itself, like it's an entity in itself, forgiving the people involved, whatever you have to do to let go, release, move forward, because this feels very transitionary, and it feels like it's like you're right there. You just have to kind of look at things that are maybe so obvious that you think they're not there, or you don't look at them because they're so obvious or such a maybe natural part of your day-to-day or who you are that you don't even think about it. So this is a call for introspection into your inner world, your thoughts. Basically, it's almost like if there was an exercise they wanted to give you, it would be take a day or even just an hour, start with an hour, where you monitor all of the thoughts that come into your mind, and you don't judge them, and you don't have to do anything about them, but maybe you even write them down. Just see what thoughts come through, how they're related, what they bring up, the feelings that you have attached to these thoughts as they come through. And it's time to start breaking it down, because if you're able to do that, then you're able to, this is where the work is done. You're able to take those thoughts that might be, let's say, creating hardships or holding you back in some way. And you can tell when they are, like the negative kind of things, the things where it makes you maybe like wince at a memory, or it makes your heart squeeze. You know what it feels like. And it's like, it's time to take those thoughts and learn to substitute them with more positive thoughts or forgiveness or whatever it might be. But they have to now you need to start filtering in more higher vibrational thoughts, even like mantras, affirmations, to get rid of this stuff, because it's just holding you back unnecessarily. And it's very human to do that, so don't be hard on yourself if that's what happens, but it's time to start working on that. So let's go to the next card here, which is Life at Sea. And so the Life at Sea, a lot of times the card is like, oh, a captain of a ship. But in this case, it feels like your life is by the sea. And by that, I want to say that we're looking at Africa, the continent. And if you look at the map of Africa, the continent, we're going all the way down. So I think it's South Africa, but it doesn't necessarily mean it is. It's almost like, I want to say, you walk into South Africa from your more remote village. But again, the village itself, it's not tribal, it's not primitive anymore. It's more progressive, but it's close enough to the city, and that's why it feels like your people have progressed as far as civilization goes, if that makes sense. Still traditional, but close enough to the city where, again, more progressive ideas are coming through. So the Life by the Sea, it feels like you're on the coast. We're looking down, and also if you look at the map of Africa, down and then this way, which would be west. Is that west? Come on, is that west? Yes, okay. So we're looking southwest of the continent of Africa. So what you might want to do is actually go ahead and look at photos if you aren't already pulled towards it, like Africa in general, if you haven't been pulled towards it in any way, like, oh, I want to visit, or oh, I like the culture, whatever, look into it and see if you do vibe with culture, art, history. Like, look at photos of the area, like specifically the southwest area, maybe by South Africa, whatever it is. See if you vibe with it, you know, and by that I mean if you have an emotional reaction or connection to it, almost like, oh, familiar, or oh, like that, you know, there's some connection, like that kind of thing. So life at sea, this just, more than anything, it feels like when we're looking at this aspect of you moving back and forth, there is something about the travel and delivery, almost like I want to say you might be like a delivery person or a courier. So this would imply communication in this life. Now the thing about this is it feels like you didn't use your voice to deliver messages, rather it was the delivery of actual like packages. So I also want to say there's like this little message coming through about your expression in this life, almost like either one, you are good at communicating, you are good at delivering things, so to speak. At the same time, it can also mean you're just anal about like delivering things on time or being places on time. You might be very weird about timeliness in that way. But the opposite connection would come in at this point, where we're looking at someone who is stuck in their communication, stuck in expressing themselves, and also maybe even running behind with like being on time. Like, do you find that's really hard for you to be on time, right? So look at that idea or the concept of delivery, expression, communication, timeliness. And there's also something that might come up, like in your life, if you have a hard time delivering your own expression or communication in a timely fashion. That concept. Play with that, see how you connect with that. If anything, this would be a message for you that if you feel stuck in some ways when it comes to your communication or expression, remember that this aspect was very, what's the word, like thorough with their ability. They were always on time and they were good at their communication, or at least delivering, even though there wasn't the communicative expression of like verbalization expression. So it's almost like I want to say, if you are good at communicating and expressing yourself in a way that does not have to do with your voice, to utilize those strengths to help build your voice. On the other hand, opposite connection would be that you have a voice and you know how to express yourself with your voice. So again, there's a lot of little concepts in here that you want to play with. But this would be just a message of encouragement to continue to find your expression and your communication style. And there's something also about the delivery of items, like don't use gifts. Like, don't use gift giving as a way to express your love all the time if that's what you do. So if you have a hard time, it's like if you have a hard time expressing yourself with words or whatever it might be, you like don't feel like, I mean, gifts are useful and they do convey communication in their own way, but don't simply allow things or items or gifts to speak for your heart. Make sure you are expressing yourself verbally in a way that your friend or partner or whoever you want to communicate with, make sure you are expressing it in a way that they understand. It's almost like I want to say there's love languages, right? So everyone has their own love language, and the message here is more like it would do you so well, or it would be a benefit to you to understand how to read the love language of the people close to you in your life that you want to build better relationships with. Okay? And there is a way to do that, you know, because look up love languages and there's different methods, and one of them is gift giving. You know what I mean? That's interesting. So heck, if your love language is gifts, that would be really interesting to know. But it would also be interesting if your love language was words of affirmation, right? So look that up and see how that can play in your life to help benefit you with your relationships. Not just romantic, I'm talking about anyone and everyone. There might be people, in fact, you might have been born in this life with people surrounding you who are tricky to communicate with in order to kickstart your expanding of methods to communicate, the ways you communicate, to get you focused on learning to communicate in various styles and various ways to cater to other people's communication methods. And it doesn't mean like, oh, you have to cater to people. It's actually going to help you. okay? When you're able to come across in a way that you want to come across to someone in the particular way that they understand. Okay, so we're gonna go to the first important day. The first day here, this is graduation. And yeah, it can mean academic, but it doesn't always mean academic. It could be a graduation of your soul, your heart, your spirit, your mind, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. The relationship here is the soul group. So usually these are people you see again and again in different lifetimes, and you have contracts with them. Though, keep in mind, a lot of times when there are soul contracts with people, where there might be karma or this or that going on, a lot of people think, oh, it's a soul contract, you're my friend, and we're going to be best friends. And sometimes these people are actually your enemy. Sometimes they make life really hard. And when life is all done and you're done being human, you go back up there and you're like, hey, thanks for making things hard for me. I really learned those lessons really well. You know what I mean? So just keep open-minded as to, like, this really helps with forgiving people and judging people and feeling judged and all this stuff, when you realize in the end, you're all loving souls just trying to help each other learn lessons, and sometimes it can come across as hard lessons. And when you look at it from a big picture perspective like this, FYI, you're able to really forgive people and actually love people that maybe you even hated at one time, because then you start to see their soul and see the amazing effects they've had upon you and your growth, right? And that's where we want to be, is in a place of gratitude and forgiveness. It doesn't mean you have to spend time with them or even like them, but you know what I mean. So the feelings involved in this is the light of love. So there's loving feelings going on, there's soul group, and we're seeing what's happening here. Okay. So it feels like there's a support system around you as you're moving forward. There's something about you actually moving. Okay, so it feels like you're moving out of your permanent place of your village and moving permanently into town. And it feels like you didn't expect it, but you have more support from your village than you know, because they see your soul and they see your spirit. And it's almost like, I want to say there's a message in here to not, don't be so quick to judge people that may not come across as supportive of you, when really they might be supportive, but they communicate it in a different way. Like, it's the kind of thing where, you know, a mother might just be like, be careful, get back home on time, da da da, and it sounds like there's just a bunch of drills or a bunch of like a list of things that you have to do, but really it's just like a list of love, because she loves you and she's worried about your safety and she wants you to, you know, be okay, you know, that kind of thing. Just make sure you're taking stock of the way people, again, are communicating to you, what they're communicating, and try to go deeper into behind what it is. Try to find a loving foundation to the way that people come across to you, because even if it's not even like, oh, they love you so much that they're worried about you, it could be that they've gone through their own stuff and they don't want you to experience any hardships that they've experienced, and it might come across as like a harsh thing to you. So just, it's almost like a message to, if someone is annoying you, try to take a step back and see from a bigger perspective. Try to detach your emotions and observe the situation from a place of non-attachment. Look up non-attachment and the practice of non-attachment. It's not that you don't care, it's that it's a more loving place to look at things. So I feel like that's coming through here. And so this whole village that you, not the whole village, but a lot of the people where you're from, you thought they would be like, don't go, you're disgracing your ancestors and the traditions and da da da. And there are some like that, but overall, the ones you care about are like, we see you, we see who you are. It's like that Avatar movie. If you've seen Avatar, where they say, I see you, it really means they're seeing into your soul and your heart and who you are and what you need out of life and what you're meant to do with your life. Though that's what is happening here. And so you have a support system as you move out, and then you also have a support system that you come to, because the only reason you're moving into town is because you were invited to move into town. And I feel like there is something about this that it's like, it's because of your ambiguous looks that you're able to go in. I almost want to say you even dress like a man, but this is a female aspect, but I want to say you actually dress quite neutrally in the way where people find you easy to approach. It's not the kind of thing where they're put off by it because they can't tell. It's more like they just either assume you're a man or assume you're a woman and go from there, and you have a very kind, approachable face. So you might find in your current life that people easily like talk to you or like unload on you or share with you very quickly, if that's the case, because it feels like this person has that thing about them where people feel safe and comfortable in their presence immediately. So Oh, there was also something else about, it was about like the judging thing about people supporting you versus not supporting you. Okay, there was a message in that also to make sure that you are focusing on the positive, because it is so easy to get drawn into focusing on the one negative thing in a sea of positivity. That one negative thing, that one person that's judging you, that one person that's dissenting against you. It's so easy to focus on that for some reason as a human being, and this is just a message for just a reminder. Focus on the positive. Focus on the people who appreciate you, who love you, who are encouraging to you, because there's always going to be a naysayer somewhere. So it's like, what's the point of giving your power away to one single naysayer, even though it might feel easy, too easy to do that? Try your best to focus away from that and only on the positive. And understand that anyone that makes you feel badly about yourself in a purposeful manner, so to speak, it's because they're projecting some crap in their own life, and you need to let them on their own journey and not take that energy into you, okay? So connect with this day however you can. We're going to the next important day. This is the so long farewell until we meet again card, and I feel like it's linked to this. So this is the family card, and this is the betrayed card. Okay, so what this feels like is there is a kind of dual sense of things going on here between you, and this has to do with your village. So this, I feel like, is coming up because we're looking at you in your current life. If you are going again through a transitionary period where you have to leave people behind, or leave people that you felt you would never leave behind, like family, you know, you have to understand blood is not always thicker than water. It is okay to cut people out of your life that are toxic to you, that are not encouraging your growth, that want you to stay consistent and not change into your fullest potential. A lot of people want to keep people dummied down in that way because they themselves are so scared of their own growth that they don't want to see it around them, because then they'd have to face their own crap. So just remember that you are entitled to grow at the speed that you feel is right for you, and do the things you need to do in order to grow, to get rid of other people's voices that come into your mind that might halt or hinder that growth, okay? So what this feels like is that so you've moved, and you're enjoying your life in this new place, your new life. You're really adapting to it. It feels great and natural, and it feels like you go home to visit, and it feels like there is more kind of like you're realizing, oh, coming home is not the best thing for me anymore. I'm going to have to come home less and less and less, because when I come home, it's like even though they supported you going, they see how much you've changed, and it scares them. So there's a fear base of your original people. There's a fear base of the change, which is quite normal. And if you're experiencing this again in your current life, whether it has to do with friends you've had your whole life, your family, a relationship you might have been in for so long, you have to understand that success cannot be judged on the longevity of a relationship. Some relationships are for a season, a reason, however they, that saying they have. You have to understand and let go when it's right and appropriate. And the letting go in itself feels like it would be a lesson for you. Letting go of people that you thought you would never have to let go of, because you can see how they are hindering you, and it is not your job to fix them. It is not your job to appease them. So you need to learn in your life, feel out who is toxic, who is not. You need to make sure you are finding people that speak your language, or what they call finding your tribe. That's very important for you, because they're going to help you with the expression and communication on an authentic level. You want to be around people who want you to express yourself on an authentic level, because that is going to propel your growth forward. That's also going to, when we talk about growth, I'm talking about gifts, abilities, again, that idea of seeing beyond the veil. So if you feel like you can communicate with spirit, or even entities or energies that are beyond the seeing eye in this third, this dimension, don't doubt that. And find the people that you can talk to about that, because they're going to have advice for you in order to help you move forward. And they're also going to have the energy that is going to move you forward, the energy of acceptance, encouragement, open communication, allowing you to express yourself. It's very important for you. So keep that in mind. Now, the betrayal card is the whole thing about them feeling like you've betrayed them, and the feelings of guilt. Guilt and shame is going to hold you down. If you are around people that make you feel guilty or shamed for expressing yourself or being who you truly are, those are the people, ding, 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 that are toxic to you, that you're going to have to start to cut away from. It doesn't mean you love them less. It just means you need to protect your space and your energy by not allowing their energy fields to perpetrate yours. Does that make sense? Or to penetrate yours. So we are looking at family who you have to say goodbye to, which is a big deal for this traditional life. I feel like we're actually looking at, like, it feels like early 1900s kind of thing. Like it would be the first, I want to say the first half of the 20th century. So it's very strange because it feels like what I'm looking at is, it's like okay, if it's like the 2000s, let's just say it's like the 2000s in America, right? Here, it's like they haven't caught up yet, so it'd still be like the 1990s or 1980, like that kind of thing. So I can't 100% be like, oh yeah, this is like 1948. But it feels like the first half of the 20th century, at least in this region. Okay, and then we're looking at that, Okay, so we want to touch base on this again with the family. I feel like the family thing is coming up, and just a message that you create your own family. You can create your own family. You can form bonds with people that are so much closer than your actual blood relatives. So just keep that in mind. You will never be alone. If you have to say goodbye to people, it might feel like you'll be alone. Maybe you'll have like a period with yourself, but that's just for inner exploration. And just know the right people are coming if you haven't come across them already. So they feel betrayed by you moving forward. You feel betrayed by them for not like holding on to that acceptance and that support that they first gave you. It's just that they didn't realize what they were getting into in their own way. So they have a lot they have to deal with. Again, forgiveness is key here, and then that allows you to move forward. So so you just continue on with your life. I'm trying to see what's going on. So there is also something about the fluidity of your sexuality as well. It feels like as much as you are ambiguous, feminine and masculine, here it's also the feelings you feel sexual, as far as sexual attraction. Here it actually feels very fluid, like you're ahead of your time, like you're open to attraction of a mate, but you don't care if it's male or female. It's more about the bond of the soul. And that is something I feel like is something very important for you in your current life, and that is what you're looking for. Let's say you're in a relationship and it's not going great. It's because that soul bond isn't there, the kind of bond where that person can just understand you, just understand and be there for you without judging, is what it is. It's looking for that soul bond where there's not judgment and encouragement and growth. If you're not in a relationship and you want to get into one, be open-minded. See who comes into your field of, comes into your radar. See the connection you feel with them. See if there's that bond there that you can't quite explain, but there's such a comfort, and you know you can like say anything and you won't be judged. That's what you want. So also, if you're in a relationship and it's going well, it would be because you probably don't feel judged and you feel like you can grow. Those are the people you want in your life. Okay, so let's go to the death here. So this is the disease and illness card for the death, and I want to say what happened was you came into this new living, so to speak, and where your village is, I mean, yeah, it's not so super far, but it's almost like it is so secluded that when you came into this area, it's like there are pathogens there, and it feels like there's a port where there's a lot of like what's it called, import export stuff going on, like cargo stuff, and so there's a lot of like, it feels like foreign pathogens coming in, and it feels like you get sick and your body doesn't know how to fight it, and that's what we're looking at, is a foreign pathogen. So I want to say, if anything, if you connect with this in any way, it would be that your immune system might be low. We'll say like in the winter you might get bronchitis or anything like that. If you connect with that in any way where your immune system can't handle like something specific that comes through, that's the only connection I could see happening from here. It just feels like you got sick. It doesn't feel like it lasted long, and it feels like your body just couldn't fight it. So this can also mean like, if, for example, in your current life, if you have like a blood thing where, what's the blood thing? It's like not diabetes, but like, I don't know, it's like a sensitivity of something like if you just happen to know that your body is missing a certain thing that fights off like bacteria or something, it it takes extra for your body to fight off something that other people might be able to fight off real quick. That would be a connection, but you might not have any connection to that. That's just what I can see, what I saw happening here. So there was the idea that you did die young, and feels like if anything you'd be like, oh, I didn't expect to go this soon. So any other connection to that would be if you ever feared of dying young in this life for no reason, that would be a connection. And if not, that's fine. So the lesson. This lesson is dream big, and you totally killed it. Awesome, awesome. Like, this person left something so traditional, and it's like no one else left that village. Like, you were the first. Like, this is a big deal. You went after what you wanted. You followed your dream. You followed what felt right. You followed where you were pulled. This is being in the flow. I feel like the biggest message coming through about dreaming big is allowing yourself to be in the flow. In order to get into the flow, that means tuning into yourself and being your most authentic self and going with the flow, because the right path for you, you're not going to have to struggle and fight and punish yourself and go through crap to put yourself on the path. The path you are looking for to be in the flow will excite you, will draw you in, will present itself as soon as you open your eyes. It's there. So keep that in mind. Keep connecting to dream big, follow your dreams, follow the flow, follow the path. Don't disregard ideas that come into your mind, whether they're ideas of things you might want to create or put together, or it could be business, it could be writing a book, it could be art, whatever it is. If you feel pulled and excited to do something and ideas are starting to pop into your head, you need to write them down immediately, keep track of them, and start on moving towards doing them, whatever it might be. Trust those things that come through, because that's your guidance trying to come through and tell you, hey, you want to get in the flow? Do this. Just go in this direction, because if you just take one step towards that excitement in that direction, it will be a domino effect and it will lead you exactly where you need to be, okay? Anyway, there is your past life. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're able to make some connections. I do want to mention one more thing that is coming through real quick is the water. There's something about you being able to find yourself at the water. Go to the water's edge, whatever that might be. It might be a pond, a lake, an ocean. I don't know what's near you, but go find the water, and this is where it will kickstart your meditation big time. If you're having any trouble meditating or going inside, you need to flow with that water. Again, the flow, the idea of the flow is coming up. Being by the water is going to also help you in its own way get in the flow, if that makes sense. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're able to make some connections. Thank you for letting me read you.